chapter 17, verse 23 to 40. This is a narrative. I want us to go step by step and see what happened so that we can learn something about shutting off external voices. First Samuel chapter 17, verse 23 to 40. It says, as he was talking with them, Goliath the Philistine, champion from Gath, stepped out from his lines and shouted his usual defiance. And David heard it. When the Israelites saw the man, they all ran from him in great fear. Now the Israelites had been saying, "Do you see how this man keeps coming out? He comes out to defy Israel. The king will give great wealth to the man who kills him. He will also give him his daughter in marriage and will exempt his father's family from taxes in Israel." David asked the men standing near him, "What will be done for the man who kills this Philistine, who removes his disgrace from Israel? Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" They repeated to him what they had been saying and told him, "This is what will be done for the man who kills him." When Eliab, David's oldest brother, heard him speaking with the men, he burned with anger at him and asked, "Why have you come down here? And with whom did you leave those few sheep in the desert? I know how conceited you are and how wicked your heart is. You came down only to watch the battle. Now, what have I done?" said David. "Can I even speak?" He then turned away to someone else and brought up the same matter, and the men answered him as before. What David said was overheard and reported to Saul, and Saul sent for him. Verse 32. David said to Saul, "Let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant will go and fight him." Saul replied, "You are not able to go out against this Philistine and fight him. You are only a boy, and he has been a fighting man from his youth." But David said to Saul, "Your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair, struck it, and killed it. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, because he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine." Saul said to David, "Go, and the Lord be with you." Then Saul dressed David in his own tunic. He put a coat of armor on him and a bronze helmet on his head. David fastened on his sword over the tunic and tried walking around, because he was not used to them. "I cannot go in these," he said to Saul, "because I am not used to them." So he took them off. Verse 40. Then he took his staff in his hand, chose 5 smooth stones from the stream, put them in the pouch of his shepherd's bag, and with his sling in his hand, approached the Philistine. So, as I said earlier on, this is a narrative we have heard from Sunday school up to now. It still makes sense. And we still can be able to derive some lessons from it. We still can be able to derive lessons about shutting off external voices from this guy called David. Just to summarize it, he was looking after his father, after sheep. He wasn't a military guy. He wasn't used to battles. But here is a scenario whereby the Israelites have always been mocked by the Philistines. And they had an advantage of their giant nature, Goliath. So the Philistines were always, not the Philistines, the Israelites were always terrified of these guys. And then one day, David appeared. And we see the conversation happening. We hear what happened. He was given a chance, and he delivered. So there are some lessons we need to get from David. How did he manage to fight off Goliath and win the battle? Because there were so many voices distracting him. There were so many voices discouraging him. But despite all that, he went ahead and delivered the task at hand. So one of the lessons we can get from David, how he managed to shut off these external voices, was having a positive mentality. Having a positive mentality. This one is from verses 23 to 27. Verse 23 says, as he was talking with them, Goliath, the Philistine champion from Gath, stepped out from his lines and shouted his usual defiance, and David heard it. Verse 24, when the Israelites saw the man, they all ran from him in great fear. Now the Israelites had been saying, do you see how this man keeps coming out? He comes out to defy Israel. The king will give great wealth to the man who kills him. He will also give him his daughter in marriage and will exempt his father's family from taxes in Israel. David asked the men standing near him, what will be done? Onwards, verse 27, they replied to him what they had been saying, what had been saying, and told him, this is what will be done to the man who kills him. So the scenario was, the Israelites were always told, you cannot be able to beat the Philistines. For 40 days, they were always told, come out, bring somebody who can fight us. Bring somebody who can fight us, because you cannot fight us because you are always weak. So they have been told this over and over again, until it became engraved in their mind that they cannot do it. It wasn't a single day scenario. It has been happening days before. So it reached a point whereby it was engraved in their mind that they cannot do anything. They had a negative mentality. It had reached a point whereby they said we cannot do anything. So they were even defeated before stepping on the battleground. So that the voices kept on telling them over and over again, you cannot do it. You cannot beat these giants. You cannot do it. But David was excluded because he wasn't there. He never heard this. This is the first time he's hearing when he came to bring food for the brothers. Now he is hearing it for the first time. So meaning he wasn't part of these Israelites who were fed negativity all through. So because he had a different mindset, that is why he had taken the challenge. I'm sure if he would have been with them for those previous days, also it will have been engraved in his mind that they cannot do it. He will have been part of the crowd. So having a positive mentality is one major step towards you achieving your goal. We have seen in games, in the boxers, even before they get to the ring, they usually have those pre-match talks. You remember the Mandonga fight? For a week, he was threatening Wanyonyi. And I'm sure Wanyonyi lost the battle even before stepping in the ring because of what Mandonga was saying all days, all throughout the week. When the fight came, Wanyonyi had already lost even before fighting because of the negativity. Having negative mentality, you have been told you cannot do it. And it becomes engraved in your mind, you can't do it. In praise and worship, for you to be able to lead, you need these qualifications. You don't have. You cannot be able. You will remain a backup. So it remains engraved in your mind that I will forever remain a backup. I cannot do it. So the day you will be left alone or you will be given that chance, you will freeze because you already have it in your mind that you cannot do it. You have that negative mentality and it becomes engraved in your mind and you end up not being able to do it. Not because you have deficiency in something. It's because of that negative mentality. We have been hearing of parents telling their children, wewe ni mjinga, wewe ni, you cannot do anything good. Nothing positive can come out of it. And it becomes engraved in their mind to an extent that they accept that status. They accept that label that they have been given. And they end up not delivering. They end up being that wajinga. They're not wajinga because of their incapability. They are the wajinga because of what has been spoken to them all these days. And that is what the Israelites became because of having a negative mentality. David came and had it for the first time. When he responded, he said, why this, he called Goliath, this uncircumcised Philistine, because he didn't have any regard for him. And he had that positive mentality. He's going to fight a battle and he's going to use God's strength, not his own strength. And that is one step towards his winning. He decided to shut off these other voices. One step towards you achieving that goal, or towards you shutting out the external voices, is having that positive mentality. Whether the challenge you are facing looks like a mountain or looks like a giant, the positive mentality is what will make you win. But the moment you start saying, hii ni ngumu, this is very difficult, I can't do it, then that is the first chance that you will have, and that is the last chance that you will have to deliver, and you will not be able to do it. It's because you have already lost it in your mind, and you will end up losing it physically. So number one, you have said it is positive mentality. The Israelites lost the battle because of having negative mentality. We see the same happening to Gideon. Remember when the Israelites were always threatened by the Midianites, they had the negative mentality, and God approached Gideon, saying, you are the one who will deliver Israel from the Midianites. We can see now the different scenario between the difference between David and Gideon. Gideon didn't have the positive mentality. He had negative mentality. In fact, he asked God, our family is the weakest. Our family is unheard of in Israel. How will I deliver Israel? In fact, even in our family, I'm the least expected to do it. How will I deliver? So this is a guy who had already lost even before the battle. But now, it took him time. God had to prepare him, had to show him some signs, had to take him through some process before he faced the battle. So that by the time he faces the battle, the mentality had already changed. But if he would have gone to the battle with that mentality, Israel would have lost. Positive mentality. Number two is know whom you are, know yourself. When I say know yourself, it's not only knowing your name. Know your personality, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, know your capabilities, know your purpose. I want us to look at verse 32. Verse 32 to 37. And see how David responded. And we see this is a person who knew himself more than any other person. Verse 32 says, David said to Saul, "Let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant will go and fight him." Verse 33. So you see, Saul is trying to discourage him because he doesn't know whom David is. So verse 33 says, Saul replied, "You are not able to go out against this Philistine and fight him. You are only a boy, and he has been a fighting man from his youth." So if it would have been somebody else, this would have been the end. Because the general or the leader or the king doesn't have confidence in you. This is feedback that you are being given. So if David wouldn't have been a person who knows himself, that would have been the end, and he would have turned back to go back and look after the sheep. But verse 34 says, this is his response. But David said to Saul, "Your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair, struck it, and killed it. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, because he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who delivered me from the power of the lion and the power of the bear will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine." Saul said to David, "Go, and the Lord be with you." So after the negative feedback given by Saul, David now tells Saul whom he really is. It's like now he is giving him his real CV. This is what I have done. And the CV is related to what he's going to do. He has fought the lion. He has fought the bear. So if it comes to battles, I've done several battles. And this is going to be just one of the other battles I have had. When Saul heard this, he never said anything. Because you see, this is an impressive CV. This is somebody who knows what he's doing, who has been preparing for this. So he didn't have any other option than to let him do it. He never said anything. He just said, "Okay, go, the Lord be with you." After him telling Saul or showing Saul his CV, saying, "This is what I've done. This is whom I am. This is the person I am that any other person do not know." Because no other person knew he fought a lion. No other person knew he fought a bear. Now he is telling them, "This is whom I am. This is my personality. These are my strengths. I can be able to fight because I've already prepared for it. It's not that I was just looking after sheep. I am just from looking after sheep and coming to battle. I've prepared this all along." And Saul didn't have any other option than letting him go to fight. So David knew himself well. And that is why Saul's criticism didn't deter him from pursuing his goal. If he didn't know himself, Saul's criticism would have killed him. Ikiwa umekuja umeshika microphone mara ya kwanza unaambiwa sauti yako hata and you don't know yourself, that will be the last time you will step here to hold a microphone. But you will persist because people do not know you. It's God who knows you, who knows where you are coming from. So he responded by giving Saul his CV, which nobody knew about it. So when Saul see his amazing CV, he had no other option or alternative other than granting David his wish. So when you know yourself well, when you know your strengths, when you know your weaknesses, no external voice will ever hinder you from achieving your goal. No any other voice or no any other discouragement will ever make you lose focus of what your goal is. It's only God who knows you, and it's only yourself who knows yourself. So any other voice that will come to discourage you will never be able to do that because you know yourself well. But if you do not know yourself, any voice will sway you away because there are those criticisms that you cannot take. Unaona hii, let me just stay back. Let me remain in my comfort zones. Let me be a backbencher because I cannot stomach those criticisms. Now, that is a person who doesn't know himself or herself well. But if you know yourself, you know why God created you, you know your purpose, no other voice will sway you. You will be focused, remain consistent, and in the long run, you will achieve your goal. You can be able to tell somebody who is more focused and who has got a strength in something, and compare also with somebody who doesn't have any focus. Utamwona leo ameshika microphone, praise and worship, kesho ako kwa drums, kesho kutwa ako media. So you cannot place this person where he or she is. Ako praise and worship, ako wapi. But you can be able to tell somebody who is more focused and say, this one, upande wa praise and worship yuko sawa. Huyu yuko choir, huyu yuko. But if you don't know yourself, you will try different things. And that is why these feedbacks will distract you from your focus. Number 3, and the last one, don't live to meet other people's expectations. Don't live to meet other people's expectations. Let's read verse 38 and 40. Verse 38 to 40. It says, then Saul dressed David in his own tunic. He put a coat of armor on him and a bronze helmet on his head. David fastened on his sword over the tunic and tried walking around because he was not used to them. I cannot go in this, he said to Saul, because I am not used to them. So he took them off. Then he took his staff in his hand, chose 5 smooth stones from the stream, put them in the pouch of his shepherd's bag, and with his sling in his hand, approached the Philistine. So, what is happening here is, since it is going to be a battle, Saul is used to fighting a battle in a specific way. You have to put on the armor. You have to put on the military regalia for you to go to battle. And that is what he expected David to be in. Even if he has an impressive CV, for him to fight, he has to put on the armor. So he took his own armor and put it on David. And we are told David tried to walk around with it, but he couldn't. And he told Saul, I cannot fight in this. So in other words, he's telling Saul, I have my own way of doing things. He was never afraid to disappoint Saul. If he would have been afraid to disappoint Saul, he would have gone to battle with that regalia, and he would have lost. But he decided to tell Saul the truth. I cannot fight in this. Let me go my own way. He took the stones and sling and went. So here we can see people have got expectations. Saul expected David to be in a military fatigue. David tried it but was not comfortable in it. He had battled his own unique way. When he battled the lions, when he battled the bear, he didn't have the armor. He would have put on the armor to please David. Not to please David, to please Saul at his own expense. But he decided, let me do it my own way. I'm not going to meet Saul's expectations. I'm going to do it my own way. So you'll find that in life, there are people who will put expectations. They have tried to discourage you. You have remained focused. But later on, they discover that you are going to achieve it. So they will put expectations on you. Society has got expectations on us. We had expectations, some are okay, some are not okay. Parents have got expectations on us. The family has got expectations on us. In society, when you reach a specific age, you're told, muda unakuacha. You have to do something. When you reach 30, they start asking questions. Something has to be done. After, let's say, getting married, they give you 2 years. Something has to be done. If it's not done, questions are going to be asked. So if you are going to listen to this, you are going to meet other people's expectations. Yes, at 30, I'm going to do this because society has pushed me to do that. You will end up regretting because you're not doing it for your own good. You're not focused on whom you are. You're not focused on your own goal. You're focused on society's goals. So the goals that the society has placed on you. The goals that your family has placed on you. So even if you end up achieving those goals, it is the society that is going to be happy and not you because you're meeting the expectations of the society. When you do that, there are dangers. You will do that, but you will not be happy because you have achieved the society's expectations at your own expense. David didn't do that because it was expected for him to fight in the armor. If he would have achieved or he would have followed it, I've said consistently, he would have lost the battle. Even Goliath, when you read the verses beyond 40, Goliath was surprised. Somebody is approaching him without any protection, without somebody who is small. Even he was shocked on what to do because he expected somebody who is also like him, somebody who has got a military armor like him, and so that he knows how to fight on an equal platform. But here now the platform is not equal because David has changed the equation. He didn't meet the expectations of Saul. He met his own expectation. So when you live to meet other people's expectations, expectations are there, direct, indirect. Others are in social media. Your colleagues whom you learned with at school have done this and you haven't achieved. So you put that pressure on you. I'm supposed to have bought a car at this particular time because all my classmates have got car. I'm supposed to be married at this age. All my classmates are married. I'm the only one remaining. I'm supposed to have kids at this time. All my other colleagues have got kids. I don't have any. Those are the pressures or the expectations that society places on you. So you end up also falling in the bandwagon, joining the bandwagon because you want to achieve the expectations or live to achieve the expectations of other people. You end up achieving it at your own expense. So from this we can say you have to do things your own way, at your own time, at your own pace, and don't fear disappointing people close to you. It could be your parents. You will have to disappoint them. It could be your guardians. You will have to disappoint them. It could be your leaders. You will have to disappoint them. It could be your pastors. You will have to disappoint them because that is their expectations. Or those are their expectations on you, and you don't have to meet them. David didn't fear disappointing Saul because he knew this is Saul's expectation. It is not my expectation. This is not the way I'm used to do things. I will do it my own way. He did his own way and he achieved. And that is how he was able to shut off all these other voices and focus on his goal and achieve. In the first instance, if we will have focused on the mentality, negative mentality, if we will have focused on what the Philistines were telling the Israelites, he wouldn't have gone to battle. If he would have doubted himself, Saul's criticism would have put him off. If he would have fall in the expectations of Saul, he would have been killed by Goliath. So in the long run, he ended up shutting off all these other voices and focused on God's voice. Say, he will fight the battle for God. And he ended up winning because of focusing on one thing, focusing on his goal, focusing on his purpose, and left out all these other voices. And we see him winning. It wasn't by coincidence. It was something that had been prepared all along. When you look at the entire chapter 17, look at all the verses. You will see this is somebody who had already been prepared. It wasn't that he just woke up one day, fought and won. It was something that took process. And his win is a manifestation of him shutting off the voices. And that is why I started by saying, when a visiting team shuts off the voices of the fans, then they end up beating the home team. But if they will focus, if they end up focusing on the voices of the fans, they will lose focus on the game, be distracted by the fans, and that is the goal of the fans, to distract you from the game. Be distracted by the fans, and they end up losing the game because of the distraction from the fans. So when in a battle with a home ground team, don't concentrate on the noises from the fans. This is my parting shot. When in the battle with the home ground team, don't concentrate on the noises from the fans. They'll make you lose concentration from the battle, and you will lose the battle. But if you shut off the noises and concentrate on the game, you will definitely win, and any hostile environment will be irrelevant. But if you focus on the noises, the environment will determine whether you're going to win or not. But if you end up focusing on your goal, shut off the voices, whether the environment is hostile or not, a win will be guaranteed. With those many remarks, may we be blessed. Let's stand up as I welcome the praise and worship as we conclude with a word of prayer. Let's bow down for a word of prayer. Father, Lord, we come to you this morning. I want to say thank you for your word. Thank you for using me as a vessel to pass across your word. Father, from the word, we have learned that when we focus on you, when we concentrate on our purpose, any other discouraging voice that will come our way will never be able to distract us from our concentration. Will never be able to distract us from our objective, Lord. Father, Lord, may you give us this knowledge. May you give us the will for us to be able to shut off these voices so that we may be able to achieve the objective. We may be able to achieve the goal. We may be able to achieve the purpose that you have put us on this world to do. We thank you and we honor your name. For it is in Jesus' name we do believe and pray. Amen.
It's time to give our offering. All power belongs to you alone. All power belongs to you alone. All the power belongs to you alone. All power belongs to you alone. All power alone. All power belongs to you alone. All the power belongs to you alone. All power belongs to you alone. All power
belongs
to you, Lord.
alone.
All power
Belongs to you alone.
all power
Belongs to you alone.
all power
Belongs to you alone.
Once you have spoken, twice I have heard. All power belongs to you alone. And when you have spoken, it surely comes to pass. All power belongs to you alone. All powers
belong
to you alone. All
powers belongs to you.
Lord, all
Powers belongs to you alone. All powers belongs to you alone.
all glory belongs to you alone. All glory belongs to you alone. All honor belongs to you alone. All honor belongs to you alone. All
Powers belongs to you alone. Powers belongs to you alone.
power
Powers belongs to you
all power
Powers belongs to you alone.
all power belongs to you alone. All power belongs to you alone. All worship belongs to you alone. All honor belongs to you alone. All power
Powers belongs to you alone.
power
Powers belongs to you alone.
all power
Powers belongs to you alone.
all power
Powers belongs to you alone.
all honor belongs to you alone. All worship belongs to you alone. alone. All power belongs to you alone. All powers
belongs to you.
All powers
belongs to you.
All powers
belongs to you alone. All powers belongs
to you alone. All powers
belong
to you alone.
All powers belong
To you
alone.
Come on, just lift up your hands even as we come to the end of our first service. Mwambie tu, Father, all powers belongs to you. You will never share your glory with anyone. That was our